Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Hey, folk. Welcome back to the Muslim Life Coach podcast. This is where I coach you on transforming your own life. This is where I coach you to coach yourself. And really, what we want to get into today, and we are on episode number 43. We're going to get into sabotage, like self-sabotage, and the link between that and why can't I have my life the way I want it. You see, that question is something that many of my students and the people that I work with and you folk who are, that listen to this podcast, when you're reaching out to me, many of you, you're asking these questions like, why isn't life turning out the way I want it? Like, why do I feel stuck? Why does my life feel this way forever? And but we fail to realize why. And that's why we're always asking why, because we fail to realize this. Because look, this question, like, people are asking themselves this and they're not always verbalizing it. It's a thought that's running through their minds, like, why can't it be this way? Why can't it be this way? And the reality is that, why is not possible for us to create until we're ready to create it, right? Like the possibility of your life being the way you want it, like it can be that way. But look, many of us put it down to, you hear this all the time. People put it down to qadr of Allah, like decree, like life's not meant to be like that for me. And that's what people are thinking. They're saying it, they're thinking it, and they're not always saying it's not meant to be like that for me, but often they resign themselves to the life that they're not happy with. Like, if you're resigning yourself to a life that you're not happy with, then that's what it is. Like, you put it down to, this is decree, and that's it. I can't do nothing about that. And look, I'm gonna share with you that that's actually not true. Yes, it's true that everything in life is decree. And listen, we're not going to get into decree in this session, but like. But I'm going to show you that you can absolutely do something about it, and you can transform your life. That's what this coaching podcast is all about. Me helping you to transform your life. So what we're going to focus on is actually how to do that. But let's go back to that. So one of the reasons that people think that they can't have life the way they want to have it is because it's the decree of Allah, and they're meant to be, living this way and not unhappy or sad or, stuck in life, and it's meant to be that way. Others put it down to the fault of someone else in their lives, someone that was in their lives previously or someone in their lives at present, and they put it down to, it's their fault that I'm experiencing this, and what that does is that breeds a huge amount of anger and resentment and sadness, and when you're swimming in that feeling, like, you can stay stuck in that for a long time, and that is a terrible situation. But some people put it down to that, right? So that's the second one. Now the third thing that people put it down to is that they actually put it down to it being their own fault, right? And you'd think that's a good thing, but actually it's not, because what happens is that they remain in this awful feeling for a long time, like guilt and shame, and they're constantly berating themselves and talking to themselves in a really, really negative way. And when we do that, then that automatically creates the experience of life that you're having, right? So life is, life is just that way. This is like a common statement that people make. This is just the way life is. It's just the way it is, right? And I'm smart, and I've got experience, and I've been searching for ages, and I've done programs and courses and coaching and counselling and you name it, but I just can't figure it out. I can't figure out what's causing it. And this is something that runs through many of my clients' minds, my students, the people that follow my work, when they reach out to me, some of you folk, when you're emailing me, like, this is what I hear, right? So the question is, why am I so stuck, and what's blocking me? I just don't get it. Why am I so stuck? And so in this episode, I want to talk to you about what is actually creating that, and the connection between sabotage and that. And here's the thing: as I'm talking to you about this, here's what I suggest. I want you to actually take a step back, just be an observer, the thinker, the observer, like you're just observing what's going on in your own mind and your own heart, and what you're feeling, and you're just observing it, but you're not judging yourself, and you're not, you're accepting of the fact that you've got this stuff going on in your mind, and that you're feeling this, but you're not going to judge yourself on it. Because if you can do that, then what we'll be able to do is actually see things for what it is. And when you can see something, you can grab a hold of it, you can change it. Whereas when you can't see it, you can't grab a hold of it, and you can't change a thing, right? And so what we're going to discuss here are the main causes, right? We're going to discuss the main causes and how to actually overcome the mind block that keeps you stuck. That's what we want to discuss in this podcast. So it's going to be, it's going to be grounding, right? In that you're gonna know what's going on and what's possible, and we will focus on what could change in your experience for you. What could change for you in your experience, and it's the real possibility. So you see, your experience of life is what bothers you the most. If you knew, like by now, you know the science of the nafs and what I teach, and this therapeutic coaching model, like it is like, we focus on peak mental well-being, and then we focus on achieving optimum performance and an actual life transformation. And the whole process of it all is, and this is why I call it mental health and mental wealth, because the two are directly connected, and it's what creates your experience of life. So, and obviously it's what we all want, right? Like, you want to be happy, you want to be content, you want to feel peace and sakina, and you want to actually feel like you're okay and you're getting on okay in your life. But anyway, let's get back to the topic. So what is it that this type of coaching that we're talking about can create for you? What is it that we're doing? Like, it helps you to gain freedom. It helps you, like what we're doing here and what we're talking about right now, it's going to help you to gain freedom from your mental barriers, the barriers that block you. Because, look, the greatest block most of us have is that mental block, right? And I'm going to come back to the actual topic, because this is the root. This is at the root of what's going on for you, right? When we have a mental block, when you can't see a way out, in other words, right, then you can't find your way out, right? Understand this. If you have a mental block, it's like you've got this massive, brick wall right in front of you. It's so tall, so wide, you can't actually see above it, over it, you can't see around it, right? That's the mental block. And when you can't see a way over it or around it, like, you don't feel like you can do anything to change it, change, your life. And then you'll stay stuck, because you'll feel like you have no control, because this block is just way too big. And as for as long as you can't see it, that you can't see a way, in other words, like, you remain stuck, right? So the minute you can see a way, you will believe it's possible. You will believe it's possible. You will have a level of hope. It's like the light has just come on, or the light at the end of the tunnel, you can see it. So you just keep on going down that tunnel, right? But here's the thing, like, the minute you can see it, you will start to believe it's possible. And that's when you become ready to change it. You're ready now to change it, because you believe it's possible. You see it's happening. Your beliefs about what's possible and what's not will cause you to shape your life. I really want you to take that sentence and ruminate on it. Like, really have that, like, look, I this is the crazy thing. Like, I deal with a lot of, people who are psychology trained in one format or another, and they're always like, yeah, I know this, but then they're stuck still. So how could you, like, the question is, and what I'm saying is, when you know it, what that means is that you can see the way. And when you can see the way, you can do something about it. You can take the steps to take yourself and traverse that path to go down that way, right? But for as long as you just, you have a good feeling, maybe, right? You see something, you have a good feeling, and you just want to hold on to that feeling. So instead of actually doing something to change your situation, you just do more of the same. You do more of the same just so that you can maintain that good feeling. And really, what's happening there is there's a bit of self sabotage, right? You don't even see it, you don't even realize it, because what you're doing is you're trying to hold on to a good feeling, right? And trying to hold on to that good feeling, you remain stuck doing the same thing, right? And then a period of time goes by, and before you know it, you're asking yourself, well, how come my life's not changing still? Right? And that's actually, that's one of the ways that we um, we actually remain stuck for a long time, because we create these good feelings that actually um, keep us stuck. Like, good feelings are good if they're serving you and they're taking you to the next step, but not when they're keeping you stuck, right? So look, your beliefs. Let's go back to what I'm saying here. Your beliefs are what creates your belief is what creates your light at the end of the tunnel. Like, when you can see that, you're going to have hope, and you're going to actually have the energy and the motivation to take the steps to take the next steps, right? And when you can take the next steps, what's going to happen is that you're going to be in progress. And now life is in progress. So can you see what's happening here? Like, it all begins there. The more you have the power to change is all to do with the more you have the power to take charge of your mind. When you can take charge of your mind, the more you will be able to now change your life forever. And life change, it comes from taking charge of your mind. Like, this is true, like, mastery of the nafs, right? This is true mastery of the nafs. But look, take a step back. Like, where did it start? It starts in your being able to see a way, you being able to believe it's possible, you being ready for that change. When you can see a way, and you're not, misguided with these good feelings of yours, or even the bad feelings of yours, but you can see it without those feelings, then now you're ready to make a change, right? And at this stage, it's the crucial step that most people miss, right? They miss this step, and they don't even realize it exists. The power to determine your future begins with this initial step. If you can see it, you can change it. If you can't see it, you can't change it. The initial step and the outlook you create is what unblocks your mind so that you can get unstuck. It's the initial step. It's the foundation. Like, this month in Ramadan, this is what I've been focusing on with all of my students in the Nafs transformation program. Like, the mind, the life, relationship transformation program. This is what we have been focusing on in creating this. But listen, there's going to be more of this. Like, I'm doing this on a month-to-month basis. But before I get sidetracked, like, I want you just to understand the power to take charge of your mind will give you the ability to change your life forever. The power to take charge of your mind. You see, most of us, once you have done this step, then the next step is to recognize what's actually going on, right? Like, what's happening, why it's happening, and get ready to unpack the self-sabotaging behavior. That's what we're focusing on. In fact, in the coming month, that's exactly what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to be focusing on taking, like, my students in the Nafs transformation program, taking them through, like, understanding, like, what's creating the blocks, what's creating the self-sabotage. Because when you can recognize, like, what's creating it, you can change it, right? So the number one thing that has us not having our life the way we want to have it is the fact that you can't see a way, that you don't believe it's possible. That's the number one thing. That's the thing. That's the ultimate block. That you can't see a way, that you don't believe it's possible. But the minute you can see a way, and the minute you see it's, you start to believe it's actually possible, because now that you see a way, you can believe it's possible, because seeing a way means that the light is on. Now you're ready to change it. So what we do then is that we focus in on what's going to sabotage you, because once you can see a way, it's like you've set your map. Now you've set your map, you've got your GPS out, you've taken your Google Maps or whatever you use, and you put in your destination, what you want out of your life, right? You put in your destination, what you want out of your life. And once you've done that, then you could be en route. Now you're making track, you're in progress. But here's the new problem. At this stage, this is the stage where we go into self-sabotage, right? And these self-sabotaging behaviors, like most of us, we don't even recognize them. And if you can't recognize them, if you don't recognize what's happening here and how they're showing up in your life, it's like that good feeling I was just talking to you about, right? It's like you feel good and it feels good, and that means that you're thinking it's good, but it actually derails you. Even when we start off believing it's possible, we often end up self-sabotaging, right? We sabotage ourselves, and we just don't know it's happening. And here's how to know. Here's how to know that it's self-sabotage. You know it's self-sabotage because you're on track to do the right stuff. You're on track. You've made your plans, your journey. You got yourself ready for it. And before you know it, you set yourself up for a fail. You start to, procrastinate. You start to put things off. You start to get disorganized. Like, you're all good at organizing other people. You can organize other people's lives. But when it comes to your own, you start to, all of a sudden, even though you know exactly what to do, you're a productive person, right? You know what you're doing. But you start to get into this, this disorganized mess. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what's going on here. And here you might start feeling a little bit of overwhelm or a bit anxious, right? A bit of fear kicks in, right? Fear kicks in, anxiety, these types of things kick in. And then you start to just put it down, you start to put other things first that should really be secondary. And you get into your fear and panic that this is not working, and why isn't it working? And then you start to question yourself. You have a lot of self-doubt, and it just spirals. It spirals, and you don't understand why, because you're thinking that I could see it, I planned it, I did all of it. I'm doing the self-coaching. I'm managing my mind. I'm doing all of that stuff, and here's where you start to think, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, and everything goes against your plans. Everything goes against your plans, or your plans don't go exactly as you want it to. And then at this point, you put it down to, this is the decree. This is the decree. This is the Qadr. It's actually not meant to be, right? But what we don't recognize is that at this stage, we just continue until we give up. And then we go back to the beginning, or we go back to the drawing table, or we go back to starting the plans all over again, and we feel defeated, and we just don't know why. And this is like a constant cycle, right? This is a constant cycle. But the thing is, it's that self-sabotaging stuff, right? It's the fear, the anxiety, the uncertainties, the doubts, all of that stuff. Like it comes in, and the feelings, like even the good feelings. Like I gave you the example earlier, the good feelings, they sabotage you because you're thinking that, oh, it feels good, so it must be all right. And the reality is, look, as a professional coach, as a trainer of coaches, as a trainer of therapists, like I know that most of my clients, most of my students, most of the people that go through the life transformation, the nafs transformation program with me, like they all, to some degree, we all struggle with this, right? And the key is that you need to see it happening. Because if you can see it, you can see the possibility of change. You can see the possibility of creating something that's going to change your life. And in fact, this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that I'm going to be starting straight after Ramadan in the Nafs transformation program, the mind, the life, the relationship transformation program. What we're going to focus on in this next month, insha'Allah, straight after Ramadan, we're going to focus, insha'Allah, on this. Why can't I have the life I want? And unblocking that. We're going to focus on unblocking that, and we're going to focus on actually, really get into the nitty-gritty of what your self-sabotage is really about, where it's coming from, how to recognize it, and how to change it. That's what we're going to focus on. So if you're with me and you're listening to this, like I'm telling you, this is what we're going to be doing, so you can get excited about that, because that's what we're going to focus on. We're actually going to focus on helping you to make those changes, because up until now, what we've been focusing on actually realizing what's going on, like actually finding the causes. But the self-sabotage, we haven't even got onto that, like where it comes in, where the doubts and the fears and the uncertainties and all of that stuff that creates us to become misaligned. In this next month of Shawwal, we're going to focus on that. We're going to focus on really getting to the bottom of that and creating a mini transformation, one at a time, right? Because lots of mini transformations in your life, like one at a time, is going to create like massive transformation in your life. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on creating the next 12 months. So you want to set yourself up for the next 12 months. You've got to get yourself into gear to do that. So we're going to focus on that. And listen, folk, if you're one of my podcast listeners and you haven't actually joined the program, like I invite you to join us. I invite you to join us in transforming your life. If you're ready to take it to the next level, you've been listening to the podcast, you know this stuff, and you know exactly what we're talking about. This stuff actually is happening in your life. You know what I'm talking about. And you're ready to change it. Like, join me, go to the Muslim Life Coach, THE. You can't forget that, themuslimlifecoach.org/live. And really, it's about absolute transformation. But we're going to do it at the core level, right? Where it's really happening. Where are these blocks? Where are your struggles? Like, I'm pretty excited because I've got like this plan for what we're going to create over the next 12 months, and I'm excited because as I take you through it, I'm going to take myself through it again and again. See, I do this year in, year out, and every year I transform my life, take myself to the next level, and your life will be at a different place in 12 months from now, inshallah. So anyway, folks, I'm going to leave you on that. If you are loving this podcast, go to iTunes and just give me a thumbs up, or it's not even a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know what's happening for you. Like if you're listening to this on iTunes, wherever you're listening to this, like leave a comment, give me some feedback, and let me know what's going on for you. Like, and if you're ready to actually transform your life, you're ready to take this to the next level, you're beyond information stage, and you're ready to make it happen, join me, because this is going to transform lives, your life, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.